Oh, it did happen at last. T.I., the self-described king of the South, has broken his royal quiet following months of silence, denial, and social media upheaval. And what did he just say about King Harris, his son? This isn't a press release. From the throne, it is a yell. Fans' preconceived notions of Atlanta's first family are being called into question by a confession. So honest, no. This isn't your typical celebrity dad explains his son's drama, compared to Euphoria's climax. This is more profound, sinister, and poignant. T.I. revealed a reality that will cause you to reconsider parenting, celebrity, and the consequences of a hip-hop prince going wild. This is family heartbreak. So forget about the family hustle. Tip's admission has appended the Harris legacy, and the drama that had been brewing behind closed mansion doors has now erupted. This is the side of T.I. From viral outbursts to desperate parenting moments, from emotional collapse to public disgrace. It was never intended for the world to see. This is not a story of redemption, so fasten your seatbelt. It serves as a reality check. At the conclusion, you will comprehend why fans are referring to this as T.I.'s most heartbreaking moment ever. No amount of luxury could conceal the stress that started it all. For months, the Harris household, once the most recognizable power family in hip-hop, had been quietly breaking down. Beneath the Bentleys, platinum awards, and designer grins, there was a father struggling to maintain composure, a mother hoping that her family wouldn't be destroyed by celebrity, and a son spinning out of control. Now T.I. has at last stated what no one anticipated he would. For a brief moment, the King of the South revealed the suffering that lies behind the headlines. Fans have been witnessing his son, King Harris's transformation from a naive, bright-eyed child on Family Hustle to a viral sensation for years. Every few months, a new video of King fighting in public, cursing at his father, and flashing cash like it was Monopoly money would appear online. His nickname changed from T.I.'s son to the kid who won't stop wildin'. It was humorous at first. People made jokes about it. He was referred to as privileged gangster, suburban savage, and the Gucci goblin of Atlanta. But the jokes eventually lost their humor. Fans became increasingly aware that something more profound was developing as King continued to publish, because it appeared more like he was in pain each time he attempted to demonstrate that he was real. At that point, everyone began to wonder, where's T.I.? The dad who formerly advocated for discipline and managed an empire while keeping his children grounded abruptly became silent. No interviews, no remarks, and no public defense. Nothing but quiet. Up until now, and when he did say something, he didn't hesitate. "Everyone wants to criticize my boy," T.I. stated in a recent interview, his eyes sad and his voice low. "However, you all fail to realize that's my son. Additionally, my kid is dealing with issues that go beyond clout. The internet went down. As a result, when T.I.U. can tell that the man, who is founded on pride, power, and control, struggles. It's hard watching your kid try to find himself in a world that doesn't love you unless you're perfect," he went on. "To survive, I created music. He was a part of it from birth. This life was chosen for him before he had any idea what it meant." That line struck a distinct note, because all of a sudden, King's actions appeared to be confused rather than entitlet, outlined how King was raised under scrutiny, surrounded by celebrity, and lacked a sense of self. He stated he's not from the hood, but he feels like he needs to prove it because people make fun of him for being privileged. He doesn't understand that being who you are is the most authentic thing you can be. Furthermore, the timing of that admission was quite explosive. A few weeks prior, King had gone live once more, venting about how his family ain't real and how he raised himself. Although he appeared enraged, the swagger was actually grief. "They always want to make me look crazy, but I'm the only one telling the truth," he remarked. The video became viral. Supporters were divided. He was described as pampered by some. He was sobbing for assistance, according to others. One thing was universally acknowledged: the Harris family was collapsing in real time. However, when he eventually spoke, he acknowledged that he hadn't attacked. As a father, I failed at a few things, he admitted. You try to give your kids the world when you have a career like mine. But sometimes the world is the very thing that breaks them. Boom! The self-assured man just admitted the one thing he had never wanted to say. His family was bearing the entire cost of success. He discussed how reality cameras, flashing lights, and social media demands shaped King's early years. He remarked, "It's difficult to raise a child when the internet is raising them too. A generation that has followers cannot be disciplined for misbehavior." Instantly, that line became viral. The comments were inundated by fans. He's not incorrect. Every wealthy parent's nightmare is this. In design, fame is the devil. However, T.I. didn't end there. Despite his best efforts to maintain control, he acknowledged that King's rebellious spirit was ingrained in him. He grinned sadly and remarked, "He got it honest. That boy had the same fire as me, but he didn't know where to go." That statement struck like a curse and a confession. Since everyone is familiar with T, I wasn't born into a peaceful family. He had to fight his way up. He transformed poverty into power and suffering into songs. However, his son began from the top, attempting to descend in order to experience a genuine emotion. And that's where the true tragedy. STARTSTI stated that King's greatest challenge is identification rather than fame. He clarified, "He's trying to figure out who he is when the world already told him who he should be." Number 19-year-old can withstand that kind of pressure. He said that he was devastated by King's internet outbursts. Seeing your son behave out and knowing that it's your fault is difficult. Because you didn't do enough rather than because you did wrong. The internet was in disbelief. His candor was praised by fans who said it was the most human thing they had ever seen. He was attacked by others for talking too late, but it was obvious that this wasn't publicity gimmick. This was suffering. "Some storms ain't meant to be avoided," said Tiny, the queen of keeping things together in the midst of all of this. They arrived to remove the phony. That one statement had a poetic effect. Supporters claimed she was referring to King's outbursts, rudeness, and mayhem in public. However, sources said it was more profound. According to rumors, Tiny has been trying to keep the Harris enterprise together while T.I. and King argue behind closed doors. "Tiny's tired," remarked a family friend. Under the same roof, she is witnessing to men she loves become strangers. What about that roof? It was once a home full of music and laughter. Arguments, conflict, and the ghosts of the past are all present now. Remember, though, that this isn't the first time T.I. encountered pandemonium. He has experienced issues, arrests, and scandals. He's made it through it all. However, nothing is more painful than learning that you are unable to stop your own child's suffering. T.I. concluded the interview with a statement that may have broken his own heart as much as the internet. "I tried to shield my family from the outside world for years. I never imagined that I would have to keep them apart quiet." Fans knew this was no longer entertainment at that precise time. This was the disintegration of a legacy. This father was witnessing his own image turn against him. You're mistaken if you believed it to be the finale. Because of what transpired following T.I.'s revelation, the internet erupted once more, turning suffering into public discourse and heartache into headlines. The Southern King has just conceded defeat. However, the Prince of Atlanta, he had only just begun. The internet erupted rather than merely reacting. On a breezy Georgia night, T.I.'s poignant interview went viral. In a matter of hours, it was all over Twitter, podcasts, and gossip pages that feed upon suffering like piranhas in holy water. However, the story wasn't only T.I., the rapper was T.I., the father whose empire is collapsing. His interview was cut up, remixed, and reposted all over the internet. Specifically, one line, "I was T.I." The brand Not Tip the Father was so popular that it became a trending hashtag. Celebrities were unable to ignore it. "This is the most real I've ever heard Tip," declared Charlamagne the God on The Breakfast Club. 50 Cent, unable to contain his taunting, posted, "Don't worry, Tip. The boy just need a good whooping and a job at AutoZone, saying he not talkin' like a rapper, he'd talkin' like a father in pain. However, there was empathy hidden underneath the quips. The weight was palpable to all. For once, T.I. wasn't the well-tailored, suit-wearing, smooth talker. He appeared to be a worn-out father, the kind of weariness that money cannot cure. When fans saw King Harris's response, the story became even more complicated. He didn't remain quiet. He leaped online with his trademark ego and fire. No. He remarked, "I love my pops, but y'all don't know the half." In a video that appeared to be half heartbroken and half defensive, people assume it's simply clout, but I've been battling my own issues. This is my life, not just a movie. The internet was completely divided by that video. He was backed by half of his supporters who said he was being honest. Boy, what demons. The other half said as he pulled him, "You were raised in a home with a maid." "You were raised in a home with a maid." Memes appeared right away. King Harris talking about struggle while his butler ironing his trauma was one of the popular tweets. He ain't from the trenches, he from the trench coat section at Neiman Marcus was another. However, an unforeseen event later occurred. A video appeared that showed King crying as he left a studio. No entourage. No mindset. Just tiredness and solitude. Behind the fame was the caption, and it struck a different note. Fans began to notice the human side all of a sudden. The privileged boy who was never able to find contentment in his life, living under the shadow of a giant. The child is attempting to establish his own reputation. The family strife followed. The Harris family had officially been rocked with Carluza-style turmoil. After posting a mysterious remark that read, "Healing requires honesty even when it hurts," Tiny, who had been silent during the majority of the commotion, caused the comment area to blow up in a matter of minutes. Fans were attempting to decipher every word as they read it, like gospel. Did she support T.I.? Was she standing up for King? One thing was evident, even though no one knew. The family was broken then, as if to exacerbate the situation. A rediscovered family hustle clip of 10-year-old King sobbing after receiving a reprimand from T.I. went viral. The internet devoured it. The moment it all became a popular caption. Things began to spiral out of control. At that point, every talk show, podcasts, and Twitter thread devolved into a passionate discussion about generational pain, parenting, and celebrity. T.I., some people said, was overly severe. He wasn't strict enough, according to some. The psychologists then joined in. "We're watching in real time what happens when kids of powerful parents search for identity without structure," remarked one popular TikTok therapist. "King doesn't want fame. He wants validation," stated another. Edits concerning King's life even included excerpts from Dr. Phil. Gossip has given way to international discourse. However, the drama didn't end there. A fan captured T.I. a few days later, and King engaged in what appeared to be a furious altercation in a restaurant parking lot. Although there was no voice in the video, the images spoke for themselves. T.I. was pointing, King was pacing, and Tiny was attempting to defuse the situation by standing between them. The caption, "Pain in public." Everyone's hearts were broken by that video. Comments such as, "This ain't funny no more," and "They need therapy." Not TMZ began to a PPEART subsequently verified that the dispute was genuine. In a succinct response, he stated, "Yes, we had words. My son is that. I adore him. But love isn't always attractive. Love ain't always pretty" became this story's new motto. Fans were watching more than just a celebrity story by this point. In real time, they were seeing a generational breakdown. Once invincible, the powerful Harris family was beginning to show signs of weakness. Everyone had a hypothesis, a meme, and an opinion in typical internet way. King, meantime, intensified his efforts. He began sharing photos of himself performing with words, such, "They laughed at me. Now they watching me." These captions seemed to be pleas for approval masquerading as self-assurance. However, one post struck a deep chord. A black screen. 3 phrases. I long for tranquility. No shackles. Don't flex. Only suffering fans' perception of him was altered by just one story. He was now being referred to as broken by the same individuals who had previously termed him haughty. There was no director or script, just pure chaos. And it was like to witnessing a public redemption arc. Next. T.I. went live once more, exhausted rather than irritated or defensive. He declared, "You guys need to stop making fun of my family's suffering. This is my life, not love and hip-hop. My son is not a hashtag. He is a human being." That was a powerful statement. But when it stops being humorous, no one pays attention in the era of clicks and influence. Nevertheless, could hear the weariness in his voice for a split second. When he brought up King, his tone shattered. It wasn't T.I.'s voice when he stated "my son" rather than "my boy," the rapper. It was Tip the father, the man who had created a kingdom and was now witnessing its steady disintegration. Then, celebrities started to weigh in once more, as if fate couldn't help but add another twist. Going live, Boosie said, "Man, T.I., the internet is soft. But you're raising that boy, right?" Every generation has its storm, Snoop Dogg wrote on social media. "Back in my day, your daddy looked at you sideways. You fix up fast." T.I. will weather his as well. Even 50 Cent shared a meme of T.I. because he couldn't help but jest. "When the king of the South gotta remind the prince who built the castle is written on a belt." However, even that joke didn't have the same effect for once. People had stopped laughing because everyone realized in their hearts that this was no longer entertainment, but really generational suffering that was being shared with the entire world. The pace of the memes slowed. The thought pieces assumed control. Suddenly, vulnerability something. More human took the place of T.I.'s supposedly impregnable hustle image. You can't raise kids in this new world. Using old methods, he stated in a rare follow-up interview. "That's something I'm learning. All I want is for him to be fine." The entire tone of the internet changed after that statement. Fans showered the remarks with affection. Messages such as "You're doing better than most fathers could in your position, and we pray for you. Tip." However, everyone knew in their hearts that this was not the end, because there is no simple solution when a family disintegrates in public. No celebrity can erase the fallout, and no screen can conceal the suffering. In the words of one admirer, "We watched them build an empire. We are currently witnessing them struggle to maintain their humanity." However, just when everyone believed the narrative had reached its peak, T.I. dropped one last bomb that caused complete astonishment. Instead of just sadness, everyone believed the Harris family was finally recovering from the hurricane as the dust began to settle. But if there's one thing that fame won't do, it's keep quiet. As soon as the internet started to breathe, T.I. revealed something else. And this one had a more profound impact than the previous one. He refrained from posting a tirade. He didn't post a quote on Twitter. He made a video available. He is seated in a chair wearing a sweatshirt. His eyes are red, and he is speaking directly to the camera like a father who has finally had enough of acting. There is no ostentatious backdrop or pre-written PR tone. T.I. said, "I didn't realize that the same strength that built me could break him," stated. "I taught my son to be tough, but I neglected to teach him that sometimes it's okay to be soft." On social media, that one sentence sent shivers. Ego was no longer a factor. It had nothing to do with discipline. It has to do with love, complicated, agonizing, misinterpreted love. He continued by discussing how being famous had made parenting damn near impossible. "You can't teach your kids in private when your family's famous," he remarked. "Before you can even speak to them, every error they make becomes a meme." The regret was audible in every word. This was not the Tip who used to give lectures on success, hustling, and street customs. This dad discovered that if your child doesn't feel heard, none of it matters. At that moment, he uttered the words that would reverberate throughout the nation's gossip websites, podcasts, and group chats. "Raising a king wasn't my only goal. Raising a man was my goal. However, I overlooked the fact that a guy occasionally needs his father rather than his general. Boom! The video burst on Twitter. Made that quote famous in a matter of minutes. On the internet, sometimes a man needs his father, not his general, has become the new emotional catchphrase. Celebrities even reposted it with heartbroken remarks and sobbing emojis. "That's real fatherhood right there," said Killer Mike. "This hit home," wrote Meek Mill. "Families are not raised by fame. If you allow it to, it ruins them." Fans, meanwhile, showered the remarks with affection. One person remarked, "This is the most real T I've ever seen." Another remarked, "You can feel the pain in his voice." However, not everyone thought it was honorable. He was accused by some of performing pain for publicity, while others said, "If you loved him that much, why are you saying this on camera instead of in person?" And just in time, King Harris answered. He didn't explode. He didn't scream. He refrained from cursing. He just shared a video footage of his father with the words, "I hear you," as the description. 3 easy words. Fans, however, perceived it as a truce. The internet let out a sigh for the first time in months. No altercations. No mayhem. Just a father and a son attempting to communicate with one another among the clamor of celebrity. However, just when everyone believed that this was the pivotal moment, an unexpected change of events, OCC, URREDTI, and King were seen entering a community center in Atlanta together. Fans yelled and cameras rolled, but they didn't pause to take pictures. They were there to discuss family pressure and the perils of losing oneself to the streets and screens with at-risk teenagers. Within minutes, the pictures appeared on Instagram. T.I. with his arm around his son. They both appeared human for the first time in a long time while wearing casual clothing. "Turning pain into purpose" was the caption. The internet went crazy. This is the appearance of growth. This is redemption, from father-son unity to viral fights. Are Black fathers present and vulnerable? We adore seeing it. This is where it becomes even more poignant, though. One teen allegedly got up during the discussion and asked King, "How do you solve it when your dad doesn't understand you?" After giving the child a lengthy look, King stated, "You don't fix it overnight." Simply said, "Stop arguing and start paying attention." That one moment was poetic. Videos of it became viral on TikTok. King Harris was no longer the irate, haughty child all of a sudden. The son who discovered his voice was HIMT. I wasn't the untouchable rapper either. He was the father who eventually acknowledged that he was not an expert. Following the incident, T.I. wrote, "Sometimes love don't fix everything," which moved followers to tears. However, it serves as a reminder of your motivation. The internet melted over that one line. The family was being defended like family by the same supporters who had previously made fun of them. One comment said, "This is real growth." They are demonstrating the process of healing. However, not everyone was persuaded. Some doubters claimed it was a public relations ploy to improve their reputation. "They're celebrities, everything's a production," remarked others. However, most people didn't give a damn. The Harris family felt authentic for once, and that's what gave this chapter such potency. It was raw, not because it was dramatic. Because after all the arguments, notoriety, and setbacks, we were able to see what was really there: unwavering love. "Sometimes the world gotta break you to make you real again," was Tiny's last message, which encapsulated everything. That post immediately became viral. I republished it with the caption, "We're still standing." The internet suddenly shifted from mocking them to supporting them. The Harris family, shattered and damaged, yet united, came to represent what it means to develop under duress and recover under scrutiny. This is the part that keeps everyone interested. Though, because if you know anything about this family, you are aware of how short-lived peace is. There are already rumors circulating that King intends to release songs about his hardships, which are said to be inspired by everything we just witnessed happen in real time. According to insiders, one of the songs is called Crown Heavy, and it is said to contain the line, "I ain't my daddy, but I still bleed royal." That is accurate. King is going to use suffering to gain power, just like his father did 20 years ago. King may be the one to change the story tomorrow. Even though T.I.'s confession went viral today because, in the end, this story is about legacy, more than just a father losing control or a son rebelling. About what happens when family and celebrity mix and the spotlight turns into a battlefield. T.I., "You're all kings in our own way," was the finest way to put it. However, some of us must fail before we can become rulers. And that is the most accurate statement that Atlanta's royal family has ever made. Even though they are no longer on the throne, at least they are now walking side by side, and there it is. The truth directly from the throne. T.I. eventually broke. It's quiet. And what came out was anguish, pride, and unadulterated parenthood, rather than PR polish. The King of the South demonstrated to us that there is a heartbeat fighting to remain steady behind every platinum plaque, family portrait, and viral video. It's your chance to comment now. Do you believe that the Harris family is beginning to mend, or that this is just another chapter in an endless royal saga? Was he being sincere, or was he trying to take back control of the narrative? What about King? Is he misinterpreted, or is he merely attempting to break free from his father's shadow? This discussion isn't just about one family. It's about every parent, every child, and every legacy born in the spotlight. Please share your ideas in the comments section as if you were testifying in court while you're at it. Press the subscribe button before another celebrity outburst takes over the internet. Hit the like button like you're defending your last bit of tranquility. And set the notification bell so you never miss when the truth becomes as hot as Atlanta asphalt. We don't just dump tea on Tarscop. We pour it directly without any sugar, filters, or pity. We reveal the aspect of celebrity life that publicists want we never discuss by removing the layers of fame, power, and suffering every week. So fasten your seatbelt. Pay attention and keep in mind that while everyone is grinning on camera in the world of celebrity, what are the true stories? They take place away from the microphone. The truth is more powerful than the headlines here at Starscoop.